Hi there, and welcome to the Experience Podcast. My name is Dennis. I am a flash of light in a moment of time, and today I have two very special, beautiful souls that are here with me today. And go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Neil, and I am a multi-dimensional spiritual being that's having a human experience. And welcome, Jonathan. I'm blessed to be in your presence. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself and for all of humanity. And thank you for expressing your truth. Welcome.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Jonathon England. I'm founder of the Earthwaking movement with Earthwaking University, Earthwaking Villages. And so I'm just here being a representative of God, representing love here on earth. So I got one job, stay out of the way. There's like a weird feedback thing going on right now. I don't know what that is. Can y'all hear that, or is that just me? Okay, there you go. Cool. Yeah, so I'm just I've got one job here on earth, just stay out of the way and let love flow through. And so that's what we're doing. And actually Neil and Dennis both live in one of the Earthwaking villages. So we're in the actual physical manifestation of love in form. So we're all expressions of love in form, but now there's a collective of all these loves in form have come together, and we've birthed a village together, and it's a really amazing experience. So welcome everyone, and thank you all for being here, and thank you Neil and Dennis for having me on your show here.
Yes, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. And with this village of Earthwaking, has this been a constant vision for you? Has this been a direction that you've been going all your life?
Not all my life. Yeah, so it started. Yeah, it didn't even enter my mind. I guess kind of how it began, I would say the seeds of it was, I used to be a broke, ignorant, blackout drunk, atheist beach bum, and I rear-ended a car at a stoplight one night when I was blackout drunk. I went to jail. While I was sitting in jail, I had a revelation. I was like, so the reason that I was blackout drunk all the time is because I thought that I didn't matter. I thought that, I didn't matter and life was meaningless. So when you don't think that you matter and life is meaningless, then you just do stupid shit. It's like, why wouldn't you? But while I was sitting in jail, I realized there's like this thought just hit me. I'm like, now nobody got hurt in the accident, but they could have. And I started thinking like, damn, somebody could have got hurt. Somebody could have got killed. I was like, well, wait a minute. My actions could hurt somebody. And if my actions could hurt somebody, then my actions could also do what? Help somebody. So my action could hurt somebody or help somebody, then that means my actions matter. And if my actions matter, then that means I matter. And if I matter, then life matters. Then so maybe it's not all meaningless. So it shifted in that moment. And so after that, I decided that I matter. And well, cool. Now that I know that I matter, what difference am I making? Because we're all making a difference all the time. But the question is, are you making the difference that you would like to make, or one, when you look back, are you like going to be proud of the difference that you made, or you're like, oh shit, the world's worse off because I came, not better. And so I made a conscious decision that the world's going to be better because I existed. And I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? And so I just set the goal without knowing how I was going to do that. This is what's going to happen. I made a decision, and decision means to cut off from all other options. So once I decided, then the how showed up. It started to form, and I just started to get the ideas, like how, because our quality of our life is the direct proportion to the quality of the questions that we're asking ourselves. So before I was like, why am I so stupid? That's like the subconscious question I was asking myself. And so why am I so stupid leads me to doing stupid stuff, like being blackout drunk, rear-ended a car at a stoplight. But now I'm saying, how can I leave a positive impact on the planet? And so that was a new question. And so now it started to feel like that question, it creates a vacuum for answers to show up. And so the answers started to show up. And one, it was like, well, I need to become successful. That was like a first answer. That was part of the journey. And well, okay, well, how could I become successful? And so then I was flipping channels one night, and I saw this guy on TV on an infomercial named was Dean Graziosi, and he was selling real estate investment. And it was like no money, no credit real estate investing. I'm like, well, I qualify. I don't have any money. I don't have any credit. So you're talking to me. And he's like, have you ever in your adult life felt like you should be further along than you are right now? I'm like, yes, that's how I feel. He's like, if I had this thing that I would, could help you change it all, would you want this thing? I'm like, yes, I want that thing. He's like, all right, well, give me all your money. I'm like, well, I don't have any money. He didn't actually say those words, but that's what I heard. But I was like, well, all right, well, so again, the questions are what's important, because I'm like, I don't have the money, but I want this. I want what he's got. I want to be successful. And so how could I get the money? So all of a sudden I asked the question, and then the answers started to fill up. And so I got the money. I signed up for his course, and within my first 18 months, I'd made $400,000. Within 2 years, I built a multi-million-dollar empire. So, and again, that all happened from me asking questions, asking high quality questions, and then following the answers that came from those questions. And so then I was like, now I've become really successful really quickly. And I'm like, well, hold on now. My whole life, I was told if you want to make more money, you got to work harder and work more hours. And that's what I had been doing, but I didn't have more money, and I ask that all the time to people, because I do events, and there's thousands of people have come through, tens of thousands of people. And I'm always asking, hey, who here has ever worked harder and worked more hours and still been broke? Anybody ever done that? And everybody's like, yes, I've done that. Oh, okay. So that actually doesn't work then. And insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So I did something different, and I got something different. Now, how that happened was because I asked the question, how did you do that, to a person who had done what I wanted to do. So this guy, Dean, he used to live in a trailer park. He was just broke kid. And then he became very wealthy, very successful and wealthy. And I said, how did you do that? And then he sold me his recipe on how he did it. And I followed that recipe. Now, so one of the key things was that it stop asking people how to get what they don't have. You don't go to a homeless person and say, hey, how do you make $1 million? Like, they don't know how to do that. Or unless they did it and they realized there's nothing, that $1 million actually just leaves you just as empty as nothing. And then they decided to just be homeless. Like, if they did it by choice, if they're homeless by choice, then they could show me how to, but they would have had to have already gotten to make the $1 million. So that's what I don't ask somebody the question of, like, how do you do that, unless they've done it. I don't ask somebody how to have great relationships if they're in an abusive, toxic relationship. That's not the person you want to ask. I can ask them, what would be a good advice for how to not have a good relationship, and they could tell me exactly how to have. If I say, hey, I would really like to have a toxic, abusive relationship, how should I do that? That would be a good question to ask them, because they could tell me exactly how to do it, because they've got that. So one of the keys is stop asking people how to do something if they haven't done it yet. Ask the people who have done the thing. So I left this world of doing stuff that doesn't make sense. There's no good, bad, right, or wrong, just what works and doesn't work given what you're trying to accomplish. So I stopped doing what doesn't work, and I started doing what does. And so one of the things is what I'm talking about. One of the main things is, one, asking higher quality questions, and two, asking the right questions to the right people. There's asking the questions within, but also asking without, to the people that could actually answer the question, how do I make $1 million? Okay, great. So, but as I stopped doing what doesn't work and started doing what does work. I've started to become sane. And as I started to become sane, I started to realize the freaking whole world is insane. Like, they're literally crazy. They're just constantly on this hamster wheel, like a fly banging its head against a window trying to get out. Like, you're not going to get out of that window. Do you know that you're just going to have bigger headache? The longer you do that, the bigger your headache's going to be, and you're not going to be anywhere different. And that's what I looked around and, like, holy crap, that's what everybody's doing. But that's what I was doing too, because that's what I was programmed to do. That's what I was domesticated, indoctrinated into doing by my teachers, preachers, friends, family, media, government, because that's the whole thing. It taught us how to be slaves to this sick system. And so now I'm like started to come out of it. I'm like, it's like I'm waking up from this like what is going on? Why was I doing that? Why was I banging my head on the window, not getting anywhere? And why is everybody else still doing it? And I just started to see that it was all part of that program and all part of the indoctrination. So, people would be slaves to this system. But now suddenly I found a new recipe on how to actually be the change, as we've heard, be the change. Like I started to be the change. I say you'll never get sad enough to end depression. You'll never get broke enough to end poverty. You got to be the change. So I started stepping into abundance. But what I also started to realize, I'm like, hold on, my whole life I was taught if you want to make more money, you got to work more hours and work harder. Yet that is not the equation. That's not the recipe. That doesn't work. It's you got to work smarter is the recipe. You gotta start with the end in mind. Not just don't just chase the carrot, don't chase means goals. Go set an end goal. What do you actually want? Get clear on what you actually want, and then work backwards from there and start taking steps and get mentors. And so I was like, well, I've been lied to my whole life about wealth. What else have I been lied to about? And so then I went on this journey because now I had money. And I'm like, and I know how I got it. I got it by buying a recipe. And so I got it obsessed with buying recipes. I go to the people that have, and so how somebody gets a recipe is there's only one way to learn, and it's through failure. But the caveat is it doesn't have to be your failure. You can learn by someone else's failure. So how somebody, if they're the creator of the recipe, how they got it is they failed more than most people will ever even try. And so what the recipe is, it's really just removing all the things that don't work. So what does is the only thing that remains. This plus this plus this plus this equals freaking magnificence. But they probably tried this plus this plus this and plus this thing. And we're like, oh God, that doesn't work. And they had to figure out what the thing was. Like if you're making a cake, you find out what the things are that are making it taste bad or not be fluffy. And you remove those things and what makes it taste good, what makes it fluffy, right? So, and it's just a lot of failure to get a recipe. So I found the people who had failed, and not just failed, but failed and succeeded. And not just once, they failed and succeeded and failed and succeeded and failed and succeeded. So it was a proof, because sometimes it's just a fluke. Every now and again, you might, if you're doing target practice and you shoot, every now and again, you might hit the target, but your scope still could be off. It was just an accident that you hit the target. But if you hit the target 5 times in a row, you probably got your scope sighted in pretty solid. So I'm looking for people who have their scope sighted in, because I'm looking for patterns. I don't look for just a one, thing. I'm looking for the patterns. And so I was looking for the patterns of the people who had failed, succeeded, failed, succeeded, and then the specific, they say, this specific thing, I've got a recipe for succeeding that. And so I started buying those recipes through self-education, through mentorship, finding mentors, and I paid, I paid to play. And again, now I have the money. So, and again, I was obsessed with personal development, and I went to like every one of these like transformational events. I mean, Tony Robbins, I freaking love Tony Robbins. I went to every event that he had, like, and, took every one of his courses. There was all kinds of people like Eben Pagan, Brendan Bouchard, and I really love, and I started moving also into like the spiritual, like waynedyer, and then like those were my beginning, was like waynedyer, and then like Eckhart Tolle and things like that. Because like, as I got, there's one, like the physical world of like the results on the outside, but then there's the other aspect is the inner world, the results on the inside, how you feel on the inside. One is what are you creating on the outside, and the others, and so I started just on what can I get on the outside. So those were the recipes I was going for at first. How can I learn the recipes to get more of what I want? And then once I got more of what I wanted, I started to realize that, well, here I am still miserable. Here I am still depressed. Here I am still anxiety. So that's when I started looking for the inner recipes as well. But anyway, I had invested now at this point, I've invested over like $500,000 in personal development, like taking courses, like paying for courses, paying for programs, going to events. So now I say all that because you asked me a question, like when did the village, have you had this idea for the villages your whole life? And I said, no. So I'm telling the story on this. The seed started in jail when I made a decision that I want to be of contribution to humanity. And then I'm telling you the journey on how I started to actually develop myself. So Now, I didn't realize exactly I was developing myself to be a contribution. I didn't know like getting all these recipes made me more valuable in the marketplace for humanity. Like, but it was just, I was just trying to grow myself. And but along that journey, what I did notice is I loved going to these personal development events. I loved like Tony Robbins events and like Brendan Burchard events and Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker event. Like I love these events. That was my favorite of everything, was to go to like these 3, 4, 5, 6 day events, because the people are different there. Because they're like people like out in the world, everybody's just whining and bitching and moaning, complaining all the time, and everybody's just so negative. And they say, watch out for negative people. They got a problem for every solution. That's what most of humanity is. They're just beat down and jaded. But when you go to one of these events, people are like, dude, I got a goal, man. Hey, I got a goal too. Hey, let's work together. People are wanting to work together. People are all inspired. They're alive out there in the world. It's like The Walking Dead, man. The people they're in a trance. There's zombies. But in these events, like people are alive. And I'm like, I like this. I like being alive. But then the event would be over. And then I'd go back out into the world. And I'm like, this world sucks, man. Like everybody's dead and miserable and disconnected. In these events, people are alive, full of joy and connected. I want more of this and less of that. So the next was like, and now there was a journey on how this whole thing, because I had this, experience. So I guess I started to become more spiritual. I started to move into the spiritual dimension, kind of like leaving this physical world and stepping into the higher plane, merging with the oneness. And so that journey happened. And then that's when I was really I was given these visions. But I can see that the seeds were sown to prepare me, because once I surrendered into the unknown, into the oneness, then it was all made clear. But I can see along the journey that the seeds were sown. So when the surrender happened, it watered the seeds, and then it was all the vision was all there. So I'm hindsight's 2020. I'm sharing with you I didn't know this was what was happening along the journey, but looking back along the journey, here's what happened: is these seeds were sown, but of preparing me for where, this whole thing to happen. So I saw that I wanted that to be, I don't want to just come here for just a little bit and then go back out there. And, I hated school. There was only one class I liked in school, my entire school career. I didn't go to college, but there was one class, and it was computer programming. That was the only class I really ever liked. And the reason that I liked it, now I got an F in that class, by the way, but I loved the class. Now, John, why did you love a class so much that you got an F in? Well, let me tell you why I loved it so much, because this was one class where I got to think for myself. It was the only class that I got to think for myself. The rest of the classes, I was told what to do, and you just regurgitate what you heard, or you follow what they're told, exactly what they tell you to do. Because again, that was all, the educational system was all part of the domestication, indoctrination process to train you to be a slave. And like, I didn't know that I was rejecting the program. I didn't know that I'm just not born to be a slave. I didn't know that they were programming me to be a slave, but I wasn't created to be that. Like it rejected, like my operating system rejected the software. And so I just couldn't fit in. And part of it was, which I didn't like at first, again, just watching like all the seeds that were sown, was that my parents got divorced and when I was young, and so I moved. So first I had my group. I was like in kindergarten and like first grade, I think, and then I moved. So now I had like a new group of friends, and then I moved again, and I was just getting settled in, and now I got a new group of friends. And then another thing happens, and my mom's like, all right, we're moving down here. And then I moved again. As I would start to kind of fit in, suddenly I would get pulled out and stuck in a completely new environment. And now I didn't fit anymore, because I went from Kentucky to Florida. And in Kentucky, I was dressing on kind of like redneck looking, and that just was normal to be like that there. When I go to Florida, everybody's got their board shorts on, their flip flops, and they got their blonde hair and tan. and they're making fun of me because I'm redneck, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, well, who I'm supposed to be? Oh, I'm supposed to be like this. And so then I get my tan, my blonde hair, my flip-flops, and then all of a sudden I move back to Kentucky. Well, oh no, I actually came, it was Tennessee. I came from Tennessee to Florida. Then I moved back to Kentucky, where it's, so Tennessee was redneck, but Kentucky's hillbilly, right? So now I went from redneck to surfer, skateboarder to hillbilly, right? So now I'm in Hillbillyville. And what do you think? Now I'm like, they're like, I'm looking cool kind of down there in Florida. I finally made it. I'm cool. I'm the cool kid. And then I go back up to Hillbillyville. And now what do I look like to them? Like, you look like an idiot, dude. What is wrong with you, man? And so I'm like, oh, who the hell am I supposed to be? So that was actually it. I didn't like losing my friends over and over. I hated that. But looking back, I'm so glad, because that was what helped me not get domesticated, not get indoctrinated, and not just get so stamped inside of a mold. Like, because I never knew who I was. Like, because most people, now nobody knows who they are. They're just deciding who they are based upon the environment. They're just this feedback loop, and they don't know who they are. They're creating an egoic identity of who they think they're supposed to be so they can fit in. So people will like them. And that's what the childhood, we grew up in. But, again, I hated it because I finally got people to like me, and then I lose them. And then I get people like me, and then I lose them. And I get people like me, and I lose them. I hated that. And now, thank God, there's a thing that I say, every adversity carries with the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. It was an adversity, but thank God, because it created the opportunity of me actually getting to know thyself. Most people don't get that because they're so molded. They really truly believe they are this egoic identity that they shaped, that they never had to reshape it, because it happened. If they stay in that one town or in that one clique, that one community, it gets shaped that whole time, and they just think that's them, and there's no contrast. So thank God that I went through that journey. So now back to my only class that I ever loved in school, in the schooling, computer programming, and I failed. Now there's a very, like, it's just beautiful. It's just magnificent to see why I got an F in this, why I loved it, and why I got an F in it. It's the whole thing right there. You can just see it perfectly. So I loved the class because it was the only class that I was allowed to think for myself, to actually come up with, because what it was is like, here's the problem that you're going to solve. Create a program that solves this problem. I'm like, all right. And I got all excited. So now I'm all naive and thinking that I'm allowed to just go. And I was in the first week, I'd finished all of the assignments through the entire book, like what we were just going to do through the whole class, the whole semester. I did it in a week. And then now I didn't even really say anything to the teacher or anything. I was just so excited, like, did the whole thing, because I was like, wow, like, because all it was each one had a goal that you were supposed to, like, here's make a program that does this. And I thought it was about making the program that does that. But see, in school, in the domestication indoctrination process, to train you to be a slave, a cog in the machine, a brick in the wall, how they do that is they tell you that the answer is more important than the questions. Don't you ask questions. Now, what did I start this out with? I said, what's the most important? I said the questions are the most important. But in school, you're taught the answer is more important than the question. And so you're taught in school, here, repeat the answer that I just told you the same way that I told it to you. If you repeat it the same way that I told you, then you're going to get a grade A. But if you can't repeat the answer the way that I told you the answer, then you get grade F. Grade F meat. You are like Taco Bell meat, right? So I in this computer programming class, how I was getting, because they gave me the answer, and I thought that I was just supposed to create questions, because the computer program is basically creating questions that get us to that answer. And I was good at creating questions. I'm a great questioner. I'm not great at getting stuck inside of an answer. Like you said, because you can't put love in a box. And that's what I am. I'm love. That's what you are. That's what we all are. We're all love. And you can't put love in a box. And so that's what we've all been trying to do, is put love in a box, this egoic identity, trying to make it stagnant so we can be in control of it. But no, you can't. It's ever changing. So I was really good at asking the question. So why I loved computer programming is because I got to create the questions that would create that. If this happens, then do that. If this happens, then ask the question. Okay, if that happens, then what, when, how, where, and then boom, I would create these beautiful, magnificent programs that would make that would answer the question. Bam, it would come up with the exact answer every time that they wanted me to get to. And I'm like, I loved it. Now, John, if you finished it all in a week, how did you get an F? Here's how I got an F, because the teacher starts looking at it and she's like, wait, how'd you do that? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, that's not the program you were supposed to create. You did get the answer. Like, the program creates the answer. It does what it's supposed to do, but it's not the program that we taught you to, like the book teaches you how to do. I'm like, well, I didn't read the instructions. Guys out there, y'all know we don't read instructions, right? I didn't read that. I was all excited. I'm like a little kid. Like, well, I don't want to read the instructions. I want to put it together for myself. And so that's what I did. I did it my own way. And my way was better than the way that was in the book. Like no good, bad, right, or wrong, just what works, doesn't work, given what you're trying to accomplish. So in better, I mean, it accomplished the goal in a more efficient, effective way than the program that the book told me to write. I didn't write the program I didn't just regurgitate the program that the book said to regurgitate. I created my own program that got the right answer, and it did it quicker, more effective, more efficient than the way that they had done it. Yet I didn't regurgitate. I thought for myself, and I failed because I thought for myself. Nah, what'd you think about that, right? They failed me because I was thinking for myself, not regurgitating. Because school wasn't to teach you how to think, it was to teach you what to think. You got it? So, are you coming up muted there? I was talking for a long time there. Maybe y'all got something. Yeah, I was going to go somewhere too. Go ahead.
That is very interesting. I find that very fascinating, because I just seen you like create worlds like with the coding. You were literally manifesting a different reality, and now you're doing it here in the physical. So back then you were already forming worlds with the coding, and now you're just doing it on a completely new level. That is incredible to me.
Yeah, and because I'm not stuck in the question. They never got me pinned into a box. I'm still open. I'm still an open flowing channel, for love to pour through, because I didn't get stamped out as a slave in the machine, a cog in the machine. And so I'm still alive. The reason that people are dead is because it's like, there's a Bible verse says the dead letter killeth. See, what most people are using the Bible for is to say, okay, read these words. All right, now you have to be stuck inside of that sentence, right? Here's the scripture. I'm gonna pin you inside of the scripture, but that's not the point of the scripture. The point of the scripture was to point. The scripture was pointing at something, but you're not supposed to in the religious systems, they don't know that it's there to point. Now that's when Jesus showed up. He's like, you Pharisees, y'all are cleaning the outside of the cup, leaving the inside dirty. If you'll clean the inside, the outside will be cleansed automatically. But you're trying to make it look good on the outside, so you'll get, yay, look, you look good on the outside. And you don't but you're completely forgetting about everything on the inside. If you would this is where the work needs to be done, inside, not on the outside. But everybody's trying to look good because you're taught in the old that you're supposed to look good. That's what we've been taught, how to look good. So now we're trapped inside of this egoic identity of looking good, significance. Like, there are people going to like me, and caring about what everybody else thinks. And so there's no flow in that. Now you're literally a slave to an illusion, because this world, this Maya, is just a big illusion. So now you're a slave to an illusion. You're a slave to a lie. So I stayed in flow. Now that was grace that helped me do that. Again, my journey, my journey that I did not like was the journey that kept me free, that kept me out of the box. So again, like the scriptures, like the dead letter killeth. If you try to shove somebody into those words, into those scriptures, you see all these mean ass people, like there's mean ass religious people that now the Bible says that that those who don't know love don't know God, for God is love. And you got somebody saying that's beating you over the head with the Bible because they studied it and they learned all the words, and they can spit them out and look good because they know it better than you know it in the head, but they don't know it. They don't know where it was pointing, because it was not pointing at the head, it was pointing at the heart. But you got to follow where it was going. But see, people miss all that. So back to the whole point again, we're still talking about how did this village, when did I get the vision for the village? Like, was it my whole life? So I'm sharing with you this journey of the whole thing, like not getting shoved into a box, because that's what the old world is doing. It's shoved into a box. And so we've got a core message here at Earthwaking. Your only job for being alive is to be you. And the only way you can possibly fail is by trying to be something that you're not. And your difference is the only thing that can make a difference. In the old world, as I call it, we're taught that your difference, that you're not allowed to be different. You need to be the way that you're told to be, or else you don't fit in, right? And then you don't, whatever. So but again, the journey of when I started to do personal development, I started to go to those events. I started to come alive at those events, and I could feel it, right? I'm like, wow, this is great. Why isn't everyone why is this not our life? Why is this what the world is like? This old dead letter killeth shit. Why is that what the world is like when this is available? It makes zero sense to me. Now, what am I doing? I'm asking questions. Out there, people are not, you don't you dare ask that. Don't ask that question. Why is it like this when it could be like that? Don't ask, because I said so. Well, I'm going to keep asking, and I'm going to irritate the shit out of some people because I won't stop asking the question. Now, if they don't want to tell me, that's fine. I'm going to crack that sucker. If it does not add up, I'm like, hold on now, that doesn't add up. So, because I'm looking for the source code, but it's the source, right? I'm looking for the source, and I found the source in those events, like, because it was life is the source, love is the source. I found it. So if there's something that's like doesn't have life in it, like if there's a society that is full of death rather than life, it's just dead, then they can't be connected to the source. So why not? So then I started asking the question, why is this not connected to the source? And I just keep asking the question, why? Until the source, because you ask enough questions, the truth is the only thing that remains. So I'm asking all the questions and just keep asking the questions, and I'm staying free and open even when I come up with an answer, it's just an answer. It's not the answer. I never have the answer. I have an answer, except for there is one answer. There is one the answer, and that is love. So if love is the answer, please rephrase the question until it equals love. See, I will keep changing the program until every time it pops out love. And sometimes there's new, because it's the input and output, right? Input comes in. Oh, well, this input doesn't, when it pops out, it doesn't equal love using this equation, using this program, which means that doesn't mean my program is broken. It just means that now I need a different program for a different environment. So I just keep upgrading the programs or changing the programs, an infinite amount of programs. So no matter what input shows up, output is always love. That's what the whole point is. It's always has been for me ever since I surrendered over to love. Love is all there is, unconditional love without conditions. So how can I become a computer program, basically? Like how can this, because we are just programs, basically. The identity, like the Neil and Dennis and Jonathon, like what you're seeing, like if the people are who's watching this right now, what you're watching is basically a program. This isn't me. This is a program that's running, but the source, like what you're hearing speak right now, isn't the programming called John. This is love speaking through as the program is out of the way. The program called John is out of the way. And so the program called John gets out of the way by just allowing life to flow through, just like love, because that's it. It's just allowing, it's surrender. And so I went on that whole journey, and I'm like, why isn't, like, why is it only in these little groups where there's inspiration and love and connection and cooperation, but out in the majority of life, why does the majority of life have to be so dead and dark and negative? And it doesn't have to be. The answer is it doesn't have to be. The only reason it has to be is because people assume that it does. The same reason why people are working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week at a job that they hate and they're still broke. Why do I have to work 70 hours a week at a job that I hate and still be broke? You don't have to, but you've been programmed to believe that you do. It's a lie. Because you didn't ask questions. You only regurgitated answers. So then that's when the vision was started to be. It started with Earthwaking University. It was just a university where we're going to reinvent the monetary or educational system. And we're going to teach health, wealth, happiness, relationships, spiritual connection. Because these are the 5 things that really matter in life. These are the end goals, not the means to an end. This is the actual end goals. This is what people actually want. What matters to people in this human experience: health, wealth, happiness, relationship, spiritual connection. So we're going to create an educational system that teaches people the recipes to generate an abundance of those things. And it's going to be a 3-dimensional freedom university. With 3-dimensional freedom is freedom mentally, physically, and spiritually. It's pure alignment with all dimensions, right? The mental, the physical, the spiritual, the emotional. It's a complete alignment. And so you're manifesting rather than chasing and forcing, you're actually allowing. So that was the purpose of the university, to re-educate the people to realize, hey, what you've been doing, it's not bad or wrong. It just doesn't work if you want to be happy, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to, have connection with God, then what you're doing, it doesn't work. So it's to re-educate. But then, so it started with just the university, and then that's when the vision came out. All of a sudden, my hand just started drawing a picture, and I didn't know what it was doing. And it was it was a village, and it was drawing a picture of a village, and the university was in the center of the village. And I'm like, oh, because see, so there was a moment in my life where I had surrendered, and there was a moment where I had this God experience, this divine experience where God, love, asks for my life. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do with it? And I got no answer. So then so my question was, what are you going to do with it? Now, I didn't get an answer to the question. So guess what? Well, so I started having to ask more questions. Well, more questions was like, well, what would be the worst case scenario? If love is asking for my life, if I'm about to give up my life to something, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst that it could be? And I went to worst case scenario, and I got multiple answers, but I went my worst case scenario, and I was like, could you be okay with that? I'm like, well, if this is God, I'm going to die anyway. This body's going to be dead. So one day, something's going to have my life. So if this really is love, this is God speaking, why wouldn't I just do it now? That's a great question. Why wouldn't I? Why postpone? Why wait? Why wouldn't I do it now? And I could not come up with a logical, reasonable answer for that. So I was checkmated. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, well, yes, let's do this thing. And boom, that was the day that was the instant. That was the eternity. That was the instant that became eternity, right? And I stepped into eternity, and it just, and what hindsight 2020, and again, now time's an illusion, but in the illusion of a timeline, and I'm looking back in the timeline. So now, because I'm now speaking from the physical time space continuum dimension, as I'm speaking to you right now, in the illusion that we're in that, right? But so looking back, I realized what happened that moment was that I made the journey, the 18-inch journey from the head to the heart. My head was no longer in charge. I was no longer trying to figure it out. I was no longer trying to get informed. And I dropped into the heart, and I was suddenly inspired, from inspiration. And then now my mind was then used for love. Seek first the kingdom, all this will be added. I dropped into the kingdom of God, which was within me the whole time. And now I'm sitting in it. And then now my mind is actually, this mind here is actually used in service of humanity to set humanity free. And by what all the things that I've been sharing right now, that's love using this mind that it created in order to distinguish things, create worlds in which you can experience, like just hearing what I'm saying, like it's making what is so like big and like I don't know what the hell, but now suddenly it's tangible. Now you can all understand what it is that I'm saying. You see the picture, you're stepping into it with me. You're going through these journeys with me because it's coming from inspiration to information. And that now that information you're taking in, you're actually not just taking it in the head, it's connecting to your heart. You're feeling, wow, oh, wow, yes, yes. I feel that too, because all it's doing is reminding you of the truth that's already in you. Because no truth can be told to you from the outside in. It can be reminded to you from the outside. You have already known it, and you'll know, like when the truth hits, you're like, yeah, that's true. I know that, but you know that you've known it for all of eternity. It's always been there, but a word or some words revealed it to you, and then you remembered it, like, yes, that's it, that's right, yes, right. Because as I'm talking about the educational system, right, and I'm talking about the zombies walking around and they're like in the dark, you're like, why it's so dead, like why are people not alive, like, and I'm talking about that, and I'm talking about this alive experience, like, you all know that's true. You all know when I'm talking about the educational system, you know that's true. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You might not have said those words and distinguished it the way that I have, or maybe you have, but everyone knows that to be true. What I just shared was everyone knows that it's true. So it's just the revealing of this truth. So that picture that got drawn, it was just being drawn, and I noticed, I was like, oh, and the university was in the middle of it. Now, I had built a university, or it was an old church building that was no longer being used, and that became the first Earthwaking University. But it was in the middle of the old world, and some people would be attracted to it, but the old world hated it because the old world is full of lies. And when the truth shows up in the middle of lies, the truth has to be beat out by lies in order for the lies to remain in place. So it didn't fit. The university didn't fit there. I mean, it was, as long as it didn't get too bright, then the university was okay, and it would just attract the people that were looking for the light. But if it gets too big, then the lies want to stomp it out. So now, again, I'm just telling you the hindsight 2020. Was when that picture was drawn, it was showing me. Oh, did we lose me for a minute? I think we're back on. But so
it froze for like a second, and it's full on right now.
Okay, cool. So what this picture was actually showing me, because it was a picture of the village and the university in the middle of it, and if Buckminster Fuller said it, but I've also heard Socrates said it, and then there's another way that Jesus said it as well. But it says, when you want to change things, don't try to fight the existing reality. You build a new one that makes the old one obsolete. And Jesus said it this way. He said, no, only a fool puts new wine into old wineskin, or else you just burst the skin and destroy your wine. So the new educational system, that's old wineskin. It couldn't fit in the old world. It could only exist inside of the new earth. And so now suddenly so what happens now, so the real vision that I got, it was January 25th, 2015, when the whole thing was revealed to me. And I'm like, oh shit. I saw the universities, I saw the villages, I saw what's happening to humanity today. Like I saw all everything that's going on today. I saw the central bank digital currency that was going to be deployed. I saw everything that's happening back then, and I started letting everybody know, hey, just letting y'all know, here's where the world's going, here's what's going to happen, because it was shown to me. It was a vision. And but now I can see this new earth that we're building, it's being built through us. What's actually happening is the people come to the university to basically kind of like, so your thoughts lead to your emotions, lead to your actions, lead to your results. There's a quote that says, you'll know them by their fruits. So the results are your fruits, your thoughts are your seeds, your mind is your garden. So we're all gardeners, but most people don't tend to their garden, and it's just full of weeds. It's full of what the world, it's not a conscious garden. You don't get the fruit that you want. Why don't you get the fruit that you want? Because you're not tending to your garden. So the educational system, basically the people come into the university, they'll come to like a live event. So by the way, we've got one coming up online called Awaken Your Destiny. It's the perfect first step. If you're like, wow, this sounds amazing, this is right up my alley, I want to be part of this. Like, shit, man, this is finally somebody's speaking some truth. Finally somebody's saying something real. Finally somebody's got a solution. Finally somebody, they're like, finally someone is speaking into existence what I always hoped was possible, but never knew how. And so this is perfect. Like it's a goal setting workshop. It's called Awaken Your Destiny. And it helps you flip the switch from consumer to creator, from what you're supposed to do to setting inspiring goals from the inside out. We don't have to create ourselves. God already did that. We just got to figure out what we were created to be, or not even figure it out. Just stop doing what we're not meant for. Stop being an apple tree making pears. Like, just let the apples come through. Go ahead, Neil.
So I just want to share that we'll put a link in the description below. So if you're watching this video, you'll be able to find that class that Jonathon is speaking of in the description below.
Nice, thank you, Neil. Yeah, so yeah, y'all check that link. Y'all click the link as soon as this video is over. Make sure you don't leave us right now. Stick with us, but remember that link is for you. It's if you're feeling at all, if you resonate with this at all, which I know that you do, or you wouldn't still be here listening at this point. I've been rambling for a while. So make sure you click that link. We've already covered the cost for you. There's no cost to you. You just click the link and you register and you just show up. It's 2 hours online. You can sit at the comfort of your own home in your bed. You can sit in your toilet if you want and do the event. But I don't give a shit. Just be there no matter what. You get yourself there, because it's Awaken Your Destiny. This is your destiny at stake. And so a watermelon seed had everything that it needed to become the watermelon already inside of it. It didn't have to go to watermelon school to learn how to be a watermelon. But see, we went to school to try to learn how to be who we're supposed to be, but all it taught us was to be who we're not. And so at Earthwaking University, like all of our events, people are like, what am I going to get from this event? That's the wrong question, because you're not getting anything from this. What it is you show up to our events and we start cleansing your lens, because we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. But most of us just see shit everywhere because there's been shit thrown at us our whole life. And we're looking, because this world is just our mirror. You're looking in the mirror and all you see is shit because you're covered in shit. So what we do at our events, we just remove the shit. That's it. And so you get liberated. The truth will set you free. So the truth is already in you. We're just like cleansing all the lies off of you, so you can be free to be yourself again, like a little child. Like Jesus said, if you want to enter the kingdom, you got to enter like a child. And so that's that innocence, that's the return to innocence is what, and that's what the purpose of these events are, is to help you get in touch with yourself, the source within you, the kingdom within you, and let that come out of you. So again, that event's coming up. So click the link, but back to the thing. So here at the village, there's an event called Awakened Life Live. 3 days, full immersion, right? It's like, it's not just, for a couple hours on Zoom. You come full immersion. You're like, I'm going all in, man. I'm going to get all this shit cleaned up. And you come on down here, get to experience the village. You get to hang out with Neil and Dennis live and in person. And it's going to be this most incredible experience. I promise you, it will be the most incredible experience of your lifetime to date. It's only going to get better from there, right? But that's going to like everything, like the whole world in one instant, like it's just 3 days, it's going to change now. And then you could, so here's the point that it all started with, full circle here. So you come to the university in the middle of the village, you get cleansed, you come to this event, the thing that I'm like, wow, like, why can't life just be like that? So you come in here and you move from old world, dead, negative, to flipping the switch from consumer to creator, alive, positive, what like vision, you focus, you got a vision, you know who you are, and suddenly you're living in this new world. But what's cool now, because we have a village around the university, you don't have to go back. You don't have to go back to the bullshit and get people throwing mud at you again so you forget who you are all again. You don't have to do that anymore. Like, we literally have a village. And so, you know, some people can come to the end that, you know what, I'd like to make a path to where I can move to this village or one of the villages, right? So we've only got one right now, but we've got a second property at 50 acres that we're going to start building out. And, you know, as the people come, we can start to grow this thing. But it comes through that. You've got to go through you got to flip the switch first, because, you know, humanity's number one addiction. You don't know what humanity's number one addiction is? It's not drugs or alcohol. It's not porn. It's problems. Humanity's biggest addiction is problems. Why? Because of our because we've got an answer that we're boxed inside of, and the answer is that because I did this, it means I am is the name of God. So once you take the name of God, I am, don't use the name of God in vain. How you use it in vain, you box yourself into something negative. So I am not enough. And that's the core belief that every person on this planet, that's the program, that's a lie that everybody on this planet is operating from. I'm not enough. And when you believe that you're not enough, remember, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. When you believe that you're not enough, you can have the most loving, supportive, kind relationships, community, and you will sabotage it. You don't believe that you deserve it. You'll kick yourself out of heaven like Adam and Eve did. God didn't kick Adam and Eve out. Adam and Eve kicked Adam and Eve out because they didn't think they were worthy anymore. If they would have just coughed up the fur ball, spit out the fruit, said, hey, look, I bit the fruit of good and evil, and I judged myself as evil, but I know God, you said that love is the only thing that exists. It is good. And so somehow I put myself on the throne. I don't want the throne anymore. Here you go. Let me see myself the way that you see me, as good. Like you said, it's done and it is good. So help me, let me see myself as good again. So here's the fruit that I ate. I'm giving it up. I'm putting it on the altar. And so, but people don't do that. People are still trying to learn and earn their way into heaven. They're still trying to make they don't think that they're worthy. They don't think they're good enough. They think they're loved for what they do rather than for who they are. And because that's what they believe, that's what their world shows them. Most people, they feel like they have a need to be needed. Like either they've just completely given up. They're just like, they've given up on life and they're hopeless, or they have a need to be needed. And the reason being, because like they think, why would somebody want me if they don't need me? Because they don't think that they're worthy of love. So when someone has a need to be needed, guess what they do? They create problems just so they can fix them. And they'll create problems for you. You might be in a relationship with someone who has a need to be needed. And you got a shitload of problems in your life that the person who says they're there to solve them for you, guess what they're creating? They're creating the problems just so that you need them. So you won't kick them out of your life. You follow me on this? I feel like this is really important.
It reminds me of like what's going on in the world with problem. Like you have a problem created by the government or elites, and then you have a solution presented after a reaction has happened by the same people who created the problem.
It made the problem. Yes.
It's like problem, reaction, solution. David Icke talks about this, and it directly correlates.
That's it exactly. They create the problem because, and again, that's so a government is a collective of a bunch of people who need to be needed because they don't feel like they're worthy. So they're creating a shitload of problems. They're collectively creating problems, right? And so we leave what is real in the pursuit of what appears to be. We're already in peace, love, and joy. We're already in heaven, but we're leaving it in every action that we take to try to create it. They're like, for your own safety and security, we're going to take all of your rights from you. Well, that's actually going the opposite direction. And if I fall for that bullshit and I said, oh, okay, yes, I need you, government, to take all my rights from me. I need you now the government just created the problem that's now it just got bigger, and now you actually do need them to protect you from all, from them, really, is what is happening. So this is the key to all the bullshit in the world. But so what happens on the macro happens in the micro. What happens to the individual happens to the collective. So as we look at this, always look, okay, you can see it on the big picture, you can see it on the small picture, or vice versa. Look on both. So we can see what's happening with the government, but take that into your life, take that into your relationship. Where are you needing to be needed? Where are you creating problems where there aren't any, just so you can fix the problem? Like, and now they really do happen. Like, the problem really does manifest, but you made it up just so that person in your life that you don't think that you're worthy of, because you don't think you're worthy of love at all, will need you. Where are you needing to be needed? And where is somebody in your life you really believe that you need this person? And if you think that you need anyone, that's where you start right there. Like, oh shit, I'm under the illusion that I need this. No, you don't know that you need, right? Need, and I don't know if that's the right word, but we'll just use the word. You need one thing. You need love. That's it. And what the cool part about that is, you've already got it, because you are it, because there's no spot that love is not. So the only thing that you need, there's an infinite supply of. And once you so let's seek first the kingdom. Once you get to that space, then you're free, and the actions come from that space. But most people are still trying to do it for that. They're doing things for their worthiness rather than from, for love rather than from. It doesn't work. You're never going to get there. You have to start there, and then take actions from it that reflect it back to this world. Is just, again, we're gardeners. Sow the seeds. Tell yourself the truth that I am worthy of love. And then if I were worthy of love, what would I do? And then just do that. And that's you sowing the seeds. And now you've got a beautiful garden around you. So.
Yes. And that's like from the inside out. And
Exactly.
like there's this, we're all, like, I guess as a collective, the majority of people are focusing on the external and wanting to obtain a goal and to get to an objective. So like my question to you is, when you reached, when you made $1 million, how was your internal state affected? Were you already at that place of inner peace? Did it bring a dopamine hit? What was your experience with that?
Yeah. So when I started making a bunch of money, it was dopamine hits for sure. I'm like, whoo, yes. Like, so I made my first deal, I made $17,000 off of. And it took me a minute to like, did I really just do that? Oh shit. And it like, once it set in, I'm like, ooh, it's like a drug, right? Ooh, that was really cool. My second one made $70,000. Like, and again, it was shocking. Like, did this real? Is this real? I swear to you, I thought, like, all right, this is too good to be true. I'm either on a hidden camera show, and somebody's about to just call me out and be like, "Hi, just kidding. You give me the money," because it's in my bank account. And I'm like, is this real? This can't be real. It's on a camera. Somebody's going to tell me I'm on a camera show, or I'm about to go to prison. One of those two. Somehow I did something illegal, because this is impossible based upon the old programming. Based upon the programming, that $70,000, like not even working at all, really, was impossible. But here I am. So it either it's a joke or I'm going to jail, because it would be possible if I did something illegal. According to the program, I could do something illegal and do this. So that must be what I did. But I'm like, I don't know that. I don't remember doing anything illegal. But then it set in. I'm like, dude, it is real. Wow. And it was, that was a hit. And then I did the next deal. And then it was like 25 grand, 60 grand, 30 grand. It was like, bam, 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 bam. Like, it just kept coming. But guess what? No matter how good the deal was, how much I made on the deal, it was never enough. Why? Because it appears without, though it is within. Wherever you go, there you are. Because I still believe that I was not enough. So if I believe that I'm not enough, guess what? $100,000, $1 million is not enough. If I believe I'm not enough, $1 million isn't enough. If I know that I'm enough, $1 is enough, right? because it's just, so the question is, how did I feel? No, I was still not enough. And the reason, the reason I got so wealthy, because I was trying to earn my family's love. Now, I didn't know that back then. I would have swore to you, I was just a generous guy, and I was just doing it for my family. I wasn't doing it for my family. I was doing it for me. I was doing it so I could be worthy of my family, because I didn't think that I was. So I'm like, how much do I got to make? How many vacations do we got to take? How big do the house does need to be? What do you need? How many things does the spouse need to have? Like, what do I got to give you in order to love me? And but it kept having to grow, because no matter what I gave, it was like, okay, great. And we all got the hit. Everybody got the hit. Okay, we went on a vacation. Woo, how we feel? We feel good about each other now. We did it. Then the hit wears off, just like any drug. It wears off. Oh, okay. Well, we need to go on a bigger vacation now, a better vacation now. Oh, well, I got to make more money now. We need a bigger house now. And we're on that thing, the cycle, the hamster wheel. It didn't work. And so, that was part of the journey, to realizing that outward journey doesn't work. It starts with the heart. See, I was chasing the goal, thinking the goal was going to get me there. No, all the goal did, when I was doing it for rather than from, all the goal did was take me further away from my heart. And I didn't know that until I did. And it was hell to find out. I say this thing, we fall into heaven through the floor of hell. So I hit hell and popped out on the other side. So go ahead, Neil, you got something?
Yes, I just want to say thank God you popped out on the other side. And,
yeah, thank God, exactly.
And do you have additional links that you want to share for people that are watching?
Have what? Was it?
Additional links for people to reach out to you, or events, or anything that you have?
Yeah, very important. Come to earthwakingvillage.com. That's our virtual village where you can plug in. So you wouldn't be here physically yet to a physical village, but start plugging in virtually. When I started making the shift from a broke, ignorant, blackout, drunk, atheist beach bum to a successful real estate investor, see, that was a different identity. I shifted the identity. Once you shift the identity, then the physical dimension reflects it back to you. So suddenly my physical dimension, because I am a successful real estate investor inside, watching YouTube videos. I started, I really was diving in to, pluck out all the weeds and sow the seeds. So it was all virtual, though. I wasn't in any sort of physical experience of it. So that's what like Earthwaking Village is. If you're ready to step into heaven on earth, well, start virtually and go in there and just stay plugged, like connect with other people that are going in the same direction as you. And then make sure you plug into all the events. We got events going on like every Sunday at 11:30 Central Time. We do a cool church service. Now, when you're thinking of church, whatever you're thinking of, it's not that. If you've anybody here ever been to church before? Okay, well, it's not that. It's a completely different experience than anything you've ever experienced before. I promise you that. Is liberating from the inside out. It's a judgment-free zone, not by resisting judgment, but by like celebrating it until it gets set free. So we do that. But yeah, you can find that in earthwakingvillage.com. You'll find events going on. So now I was telling you that I started by like reading books and watching YouTube videos and things like that. But there was also the real estate investment club that was 90 minutes away when I was becoming a real estate investor, shifting my identity. Birds of a feather flock together. So we're statistically speaking, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So I had to upgrade my environment. And so I started going to a real estate investment club. Again, it was an 1.5-hour drive each way, but it was worth it to me. But and that was part of it. So I was getting myself in the physical dimension as well to tune myself up to be a real estate investor. And those were pieces of the puzzle. So that's why I highly recommend you come down to one of our live events. Like we'll talk about, if you come to the Awaken Your Destiny Masterclass coming up, if you go there, and then you'll go at the end, I'll offer the opportunity for you to come down here to come to our 3-day Awaken Life Live event. So like just getting there virtually, feel, hey, am I ready for this? Am I ready to really open up my heart? Because it's terrifying when you start to open up your heart and like let life come. Like, have you ever had your leg go to sleep and it's like numbed out? And then when it's time, when you try to step on it again, what happens? It starts coming back to life, but you're like, ow, oh shit, you can't even walk on it. So that's what it's going to be like. I'm just preparing you. That's what it's going to be like when you come back to life, because you're comfortably numb right now. You've been dead. Like your legs, they went to sleep. Like you went to sleep, and you're about to come back to life, and you're going to start to feel again. All of a sudden, the nerves are going to be like, because the nerves were cut off. Now the nerves are coming back. You're going to feel again. So at first, it's going to be like walking on a leg coming back to awake. So, but if you're ready, like you're going to get to test it out. Come for that 2 hours. I mean, you've already tested it out you've been here with us for like an hour, so you're getting a feel for it. Like there's a lot of life. Can you feel that there's a lot of life here? Can you feel that it's different than there? Like there's flow, there's inspiration, there's direction, there's vision. So this is the beginning. Come to that event. It's a 2-hour event. You're going to walk away with your own roadmap, your own, I call it destiny roadmap, where you're going to have own personalized destiny roadmap. So you're going to have a clear vision of where you're going, the steps that you're going to be able to take, that's personalized just for you. So you can start walking into your destiny. And then like, hey, come on down, come to the physical dimension, come to a physical university and spend 3 days with us for the most powerful, just the most transformational event of your life. I mean, people who've been to Tony Robbins, like $6,000 date with destiny event, they've come to that, and they've come to our event, and they say this blows date with destiny out of the water. Everybody that I know who's been to both said this blows Tony Robbins' $6,000 event out of the water. So anyway, we'll show you how you can come on down here to the village. So I highly recommend that. Also, you can download my book. I've got a book that came through me. I was doing a 40-day fast, and then this book just came out of me. It's called If I Die Before I Wake, and it shares this journey. It's basically it shares my whole journey. There's 3 parts to it: the path, the proof, and the process. The path is this roadmap, which is these 5 levels of consciousness, or 5 states of conscious orientation, 5 ways to perceive reality from. And so everybody goes through those journeys. That journey, well, most people stay down here in level 1. They never transcend. So it's going to show you the roadmap of your journey ahead, your awakening journey ahead. And then it's going to share with you my journey through those 5 levels. And then it's going to share with you so that's the path is the roadmap, the 5 levels. The proof, the second part, is my journey through the 5 levels. And then the process is the third part, which are the tools, like the recipes, the cheat codes to transcend each one. So you can download that for free if you go to findyourpurposebook.com. And they'll put the link below for that too as well. So you can download that book for free. There's the PDF version and the audio version that you can listen to, and you can just listen to me read it to you as I'll read you to sleep tonight. So yeah, that's what I recommend. Earthwakingvillage.com, the Awaken Your Destiny Masterclass, which they're going to put the link for, and then the free book. Those are the 3 things. Highly recommend. Get yourself plugged in. Become a gardener like these guys are, like plucking up the weeds and sowing the seeds. What fruit do I want? All right, I'm going to sow those seeds. Oh, I got to make space. There's too many weeds right here. Let me make space, and then sow the new seeds of what I want consciously. So, and Neil and Dennis are the master. They're if there's anybody that can speak on that, these are the guys, and they take massive action. They let their heart lead, and they just walk unconditional love. So it's an honor to have them here at our village. It's an honor. I love you both. You guys are my brothers. You're such an amazing gift to me. I just can't even imagine living in a world without Neil and Dennis. So
I love you, brother, and I really appreciate this time that we spent together. So mucho gracias.
Yeah.
I just want to receive that. Thank you, Jonathan, for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to share and express and exchange ideas. And if you're somebody that's watching this and you want to be a guest on the Experience Podcast, you can reach out to Dennis or myself in the village, and that's an opportunity that's available. So thank you again. And remember to stay infinitely blessed.